Okay, hello everyone. This is Rob Hanley here, and having just an absolute ball today. Having a lot of fun. Today I've had a great day, and I'm going to tell you about it here in a second. And I got somebody with me today that's just it's a real pleasure to spend some time with him, and I'll introduce him here in a second. But before I introduce him, I'm going to introduce a little bit of this little toy, so to speak, that I'm on. And, people talking about economic times right now, they're saying that some of the people in the news are saying that this is the worst time in economic history, which I think is pretty debatable. And there's a lot of gloom and doom now that people are really beating this drum more and more and more. Well, it's funny because I'd like to know what the super wealthy, I'm not talking about people that have maybe $1 million net worth or $2 million net worth, but what are people that have really superior net worth? I'm not talking about just a couple million, but millions and millions and millions. You get the picture a lot. What do these people have? Now, more so, what is the person that's actually not somebody that was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, but maybe somebody that really can truly appreciate it, that has acquired this and done this? I'd like to know what they had to say. So I gave my good buddy Dan Gobb a call the other day, and I said, I'm hearing a lot of stuff on the news right now, but you're the wealthiest guy that I know. He's a jillionaire. I call him a multi-jillionaire, but he says no, he's not multi. He's just one jillion. So I'm here today with the pleasure in downtown beautiful Seattle on a fantastic day, sunny and beautiful and perfect, on Dan's new yacht. What kind of yacht did Dan actually buy? Well, he told me the story that he called up his yacht dealer, or his yacht broker, found a guy, and the guy said, what kind of yacht do you want? And he said, I want the kind that's the brand 30 cents on the dollar. You gotta love the millionaire next door. So I'm gonna pan around here. This is a 51-foot, new video camera here. Before I introduce Dan, this is we're on the bridge here of a 51-foot. What kind of yacht is this, Dan?
It's a Sea Line.
Sea Line. We're downtown here. You can actually get a little bit over there. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce my friend and my mentor, Dan Gobb. Dan, thanks for having Christine and I and the family over today. Had a lot of fun.
Great to have you here.
Tooling around. And, I got this idea today, and I said, rather than just my being here to kind of pick your brain and say hey, and obviously spend some time and stuff like that, is, I thought I actually want to video this to send this out to everybody. Dan is one of the, he's been one of the mentors behind the creation of the Net Millionaire training system. We had the opportunity to interview Dan within the Net Millionaire buzz and have him kind of spill the beans. A little bit about Dan's background is Dan was, I think he calls himself the Christian Partridge Family, riding around in a bus. And it was him and his dad, they would go to church to sing, and they were a Christian band when he was a kid. So he grew up in modest means, learned biblical principles of prosperity and things like that. But he's a big guy. He's become a phenomenal businessman, and this guy is a guy that's a networker. So I've been telling people I think that home-based business and things like that is probably a great place for people to be right now. I like it because it's such there's generally a prosperity mindset if you've got a good product and a good opportunity for people. But this is kind of where Dan, I think he can tell you, but I think this is where he started from. Now he's a very accomplished trader and stock investor and real estate investor and just a business guy. So thanks a ton, Dan.
Good to have you here.
Hey, thank you. Now, first thing, right now as we're talking, like I said, this is the quote-unquote the worst economic times, they're saying. And today, I think as we speak, the big muckety-mucks, the G7 is meeting today. What are your thoughts on the economy?
Well, a couple things. I think it's probably not as bad as it looks, and it may be worse than it looks.
Okay.
I think it's going to be perception. But, they're talking a lot about redistribution of wealth. But I actually think that the redistribution of wealth, it will not be from the rich to the middle class. It'll be vice versa.
Wait, hang on. Okay, so everybody has talked about the redistribution of wealth. Everybody has heard that there's going to be a big change coming. I think I've been hearing that for probably, 10 years.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is it's actually not going to go the way everybody was saying, that it was going to be the rich giving to the poor, and you're saying it's going to be the other way around.
Well, it's going to be that the poor and middle class simply bail out of fear. Fear is driving. I mean, right now, what's the stock market at? It's thousands of points in the hole.
Yeah.
And the people that their 401s are now 201s.
Yeah.
They're losing money and they can't stomach it, so they're simply panicking, getting their money out of their stock, and they're hiding it in the mattress or the closet, or worst case, putting it in banks like Washington Mutual or whatever, and then now it's gone.
Right.
So it's pure panic in the streets. The people that have a little bit of wit and just a little bit of clarity in their thinking, wasn't it J. Paul Getty or Warren Buffett that said buy when they're selling and sell when they're buying?
Yes, yep.
Everybody's selling. I spent the last week or two buying stock at a high level. As a matter of fact, it's like the biggest fire sale I've ever seen in the stock market, and I've only been in it about 8 or 9 years, but I've been watching it for my whole life. There's deals everywhere.
I think I heard Warren Buffett recently say that when everybody's scared, he's greedy, and when everybody's greedy, he's scared.
I agree with that. I don't like the word greedy, but I totally agree with that mindset. When everybody is simply fire selling stuff, you will see people of means and wealth pick up bargains. I'm a shopper, and I only recently began to go to restaurants and read the menu from left to right. It just was my background. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad, when we were in ministry, people would take us out, and Dad says, "You better like grilled cheese sandwiches and spaghetti, because it's the cheapest thing on the menu, and that's what you're always getting." So I just looked at whatever's cheapest and bought it. But life does change. I feel fortunate. I feel blessed. I think for the first time in our days, post-World War II, we're seeing people, because there's always been two things in the stock market. There's been the intrinsic value of the stock based on earnings of the company,
yep,
and so forth. There's also been something called the risk factor, the risk value. When times are good, risk is low, and the value is higher because risk is low. When times are bad, obviously people say, well, it's a little risky, I have to be careful. In this market, here's what we're seeing. We're seeing a revaluation of that risk. It will never be like it used to be.
Highest risk right now.
Not necessarily the highest risk, but just the reality that there is no low risk in investing.
There's going to be some kind of risk.
And it will, so they're resizing it up. It's like, oh, buy Microsoft, that stock's never going down. Talk to the guys that bought it at 75, 80, 90, and 100 plus. It will never see that again. We're done with that. Microsoft, I think, is probably a value play. They actually had to put a dividend on the stock to make people buy it at all.
Okay, that's amazing.
It's at $20, or it went as low as $20 or $22. So it's just reassessing risk. The market is a risky place, but so is driving, because when you're driving, only 3 feet to the left of you usually is a yellow line that protects you from oncoming traffic. A little tiny, and it's not even a wall, it's just a line on the pavement. You pray that the guy on the other side is not drunk or attention is off because of his cell phone or he's eating French fries. All it takes is one tiny bit of movement and you will never drive the same because you're reassessing risk.
So you're pretty bullish, actually. Even though we're going through this time right now, what I had heard you tell me was that I said, now, gosh, why is the market going lower and lower and lower? And I had asked you, I said, is that because is that because all the big investors are pulling out? And what you had told me was no.
No, it's the little investors are pulling out. There's more little investors. There's more. There's just millions of them. There's only a few big investors, thousands. So when millions of people call their hedge funds people or their mutual fund people and say, get me out, I'm bailing, I can't stomach this anymore, they'll create a market that the big investors could then swoop in and take advantage of.
You know, real quickly, I know that's a long story, but it was such a great story. Would you mind kind of telling a little bit about how, I said, I know that you're a networker, you started in the home business and stuff like that. How did you get, now you're a avid investor, and when we had met, you'd had 5 income streams, and you're making $500 million a year, or 6 or 7 income streams, whatever it was. But how did you go? I mean, you shopped around, you looked for the right business, you got started, you saved up your money. What about for the guy that's just Joe Lunchbucket that's out there? Maybe he doesn't have a lot of money to invest right now, and he's thinking, is this a good time for me? Is it a good? What would he tell that guy?